Traders, how are you? Marcello, founder of the Day Trading Academy, co-founder of Speed Up Trader. Today, we're going to be doing the recap of what happened in the markets last week. Doge! Huge run in the ever serious and extremely professional Dogecoin. Have a lot of other stuff going on. Record highs in stocks. International stocks going up as well. Gold and silver going up. Hail size, storm in Texas, earthquakes, all kinds of stuff. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Doge! Dow and the S&P 500 hit record highs. This is based on much better economic news, things like the consumer spending report, in addition to good numbers in the jobs list claims. We had a situation where the Dow and the S&P 500 reached record highs. All three were positive. For these of you guys that are listening on the podcast, just look up Day Trading Academy on Spotify or iTunes. It should be on there. I'm just going to give you kind of a rough overview of what the markets did, not kind of give you detailed information. You guys watching the video should see it somewhere here on the side, but you guys said that you guys like the new format, so I'll go ahead and leave it that way. In overseas market news, we had the markets going up internationally as well. According to Refinitiv data, the total market cap of global equities has hit $90 trillion last week. A lot of stocks hit record highs. This has to do with the vaccination programs, in addition to some of the easing of the lockdowns in some places, right? Because other places are starting to get a little bit more strict. Other than that, India took over Brazil as the second highest number of COVID-19 cases globally. European markets mostly positive. Russia was the biggest winner there. Latin America and Canadian markets were mixed. The Socialist Republic of Argentina, the biggest negative, while the Bovespa in Brazil, they went up the biggest of them all. In Australia and Middle Eastern markets, mostly negative, I should say, with the only exception there being South Africa, which went up 2.24%. And then in the Far East, Australia, mate, they had the biggest winner. They hit a record high in the Australian market. Other than that, most other ones, it was pretty mixed, right? They didn't go up too much. They didn't go down too much, but they were mostly mixed overall. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency news. Doge! Coinbase, the largest U.S. crypto exchange, went public for the first time. They did what's called the direct listing, so they didn't go through the kind of normal process of paying billions of dollars unnecessarily to big banks to go ahead and prepare the listing in the market for them. They opened at $381. They skyrocketed to about a $430 or so, just underneath that, and then it went back down to about $328. They reported 2.8 million users who make monthly transactions, in addition to 43 million verified users. And they started it in 2012, where the creator said that anyone, anywhere should be easily able to and securely to be able to send and receive Bitcoin. Other than that, the market cap, just to give you an idea, the market cap for Coinbase is quite high. The New York Stock Exchange owner, called Intercontinental Exchange, is valued at about $67 billion, while the London Stock Exchange, the owner of that stock, is at about $59 billion. And I didn't have the number written here, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull it up here and let you guys know what the actual market cap of the Coinbase is. So just to kind of give you a relative amount, because the valuations of a lot of these companies are just out of this world, right? So the stock, I got it pulled up here. I'm just going to look for it. So remember, the New York Stock Exchange, the owner, called Intercontinental Exchange, is valued at $67 billion. The owner of the London Stock Exchange is $59 billion. And now the Bitcoin, Coinbase, I should say, I just pulled it up right here. It's valued at $85 billion. So about 20 to 30% higher than what these large stock exchanges are worth. Other than that, Robinhood, in typical horrible, atrocious business fashion, I don't know why you guys continue to put your money in Robinhood. As Doge was exploding to the upside, 520% increase, they had problems again, tech problems. So I highly recommend you guys get your money out of Robinhood. It's not a very good company at all, even though they say that they're there to help the little guy, but they always stop the little guy from making money because they always have a bunch of tech problems. Turkey banned payments for crypto as well on April 30th. That's going to go ahead and start. This is kind of starting to see a pattern that I always told you guys before. Remember, I always told you guys I expected to go up and down. I don't doubt that Bitcoin and other these cryptos are going to make record highs. But between that point, I think at some point, first of all, I don't think Bitcoin and cryptos are going to be the new financial system, because I think that government coin is coming, right? China just launched their digital renminbi. The Central Bank of Europe registered the trademark digital euro. They've already talked about the Fed doing tests. Brazil now is jumping into the fray. And with the People's Bank of China, the Federal Reserve, or the Federal Bank, I should say, the Central Bank of China, they're saying that they're going to launch the first digital currency, which is going to be a direct competitor to Bitcoin and cryptos, right? So they're going for it. And it's going to allow controllable anonymity, means that the buyer and the seller can be anonymous, but the government can track suspicious transactions. Now, the payments in the digital renminbi are going to be able to be from cell phones, so without SWIFT, meaning that it's going to allow China to bypass the U.S. financial system. And it's when I've always told you, I think the future is blockchain. That's the technology actually crypto uses. And remember, I told you guys as well, Doge, for example, I'm thinking about doing a video kind of explaining some of the price action for some of you guys that want to invest, or some of you that are a little bit new, because I think there's a lot of good little nuggets in there. I did a video on Instagram talking about when Robinhood went down and they were having trouble not allowing basically people to buy or sell the Doge. That's essentially when the whales come in, right? The whales meaning the big guys. They're probably selling in that environment, and that's kind of the top. So go ahead and head to Instagram if you guys want me to share those little nuggets in real time. Other than that, I mentioned the Brazil Central Bank is looking to go ahead and do the same thing. Commodities, U.S. crude went up 6.35%. International Brent went up 5.77%. They're in the $63 to $66 range. The U.S. dollar depreciated to a 4-week low, which allowed the precious metals to go up. If you guys remember, I talked to you about the miners that I'm getting into. Those are doing very well. Gold was up 1.85% to $1,777, while silver was up 2.72% at $26.05. In financial and banking news, consumer prices were up by the most in 8.5 years in March. So the price of everything is going up, and we're definitely going to see it's going to be bad. It's not going to end well. So if you guys pay closer attention to what's happening in the grocery store, because everything is absolutely going up in price. The underlying inflation picked up, as obviously a lot more parts of the economy here in Florida. Smells like freedom, no risks. They don't mandate essential businesses to be closed. Everything here is open, no problems, and everybody isn't dying, which is a great thing. Now, we do have increased vaccinations across the world. And we also have the stimulus, right, that the governments continue to just give you a check. Just go and spend it. It'll be great. Just rely on us. It'll be fine. Don't worry. JP Morgan Chase said they're going to make investments of $2.5 trillion over the next 10 years to be able to support and address climate change and sustainable development. It's the first of its kind for a bank. They're going to set $1 trillion to green initiatives like renewable energy, clean new tech, conservation, and waste management. They reported $14.3 billion in profit just for quarter one, not for the year, for quarter one, which is amazing. In addition to that, they're going to boost $5.2 billion in their credit reserve due to the fact that just in case the pandemic actually worsened. And Goldman Sachs reported an increase of 47% in trading revenues, $7.6 billion they reported in quarter one, highest level since 2010. They reported they crushed the per earnings. There was a $10.22 per share earnings estimate, and they crushed it at 18.60. That's the result of an increase of almost 500, and they reported revenue of $17.7 billion. In political news, Peru, there might be a socialist coming in Peru. I don't report a lot about Latin America because no matter how great things are, they always end up voting for the socialists and destroying their economies, right? In economic news, U.S. retail sales rose sharply. Obviously, this is due to the stimulus checks. They went up by 9.8%. Again, just keep getting those checks. It'll be fine. That's sarcasm if you guys are listening. U.S. economy grew by 4.3% in quarter one. It's expected to grow at 7.0% for this year, which is going to be the fastest pace since 1984. This is following the worst economic results in 74 years in quarter four of last year, which was a contraction of 3.5%. Home building is surging 19.4%. It's at a 15-year high. Only problem is because due to the fact that we have the supply constraints because of COVID and the explosion in prices in lumber, they simply can't meet the demand at which people are asking for new houses. China's world's second largest economy grew by 18.3% in quarter one. They're also expecting a phenomenal year. This is mainly due to the fact that with the coronavirus lockdowns, we had obviously the big dip. Well, now they're coming out of it with a huge bounce back. Corporate news, Alibaba shares on Monday exploded 16% after the Chinese government fined them $2.75 billion. This was great news. I mean, technically a lot of times this would be bad news, but this is great news for Alibaba due to the fact that a lot of people were expecting a lot worse. So now that the uncertainty is over, they actually went up quite a bit. Tesla rose 3.69% to just under $702 after they were listed as a buy from a company called Canaccord Genuity. They're saying that they're going to become a brand in the energy storage space. In addition to that, SpaceX is increased its size of its last equity offering. They took in $314 million, which puts them at a valuation now of about $74 billion. There's a lot of rumors and talk about them actually going public, especially due to the cash flow from their Starlink internet service. If you guys don't know, they're sending satellites out in space, and now the internet is going to be directly via satellite rather than wired or from a mobile. So due to the fact that they should generate a lot of income from that, even from governments and retail consumers, there's a lot of kind of buzz about them going public. In addition to that, NASA awarded Starlink and SpaceX an award of $2.9 billion to build a new spaceship to take astronauts to the moon, picking it over Blue Origin from Jeff Bezos and defense contractor Dynetics Inc. And in investment news, China is now planning to build a brand new mega dam in Tibet, which is going to eclipse the current largest dam in the world, the Three Gorges Dam. It's going to be on the steepest canyon in the world at 1,500 meters or about 4,900 feet, and it's going to generate 3 times that what the Three Gorges does at about 300 billion kilowatts of electricity each year. Remember that a lot of people are speculating that the Three Gorges Dam isn't very well built, and that actually might go, so that wouldn't be a good thing. The unionization drive in an Alabama warehouse for Amazon failed. There was an overwhelming majority. Almost 1,800 people voted no compared to about 740 yes. In international events, a lot of lockdowns and curfews are starting to go on from Argentina to India. The infections there are actually surging quite a bit. In Antioquia, for example, in Medellin, Colombia, literally you can't even leave your house. Like, you're only allowed to leave one day a week based on the number of your ID, which is called your cellula. In April, Brazil is going to have their worst month yet when it comes to the COVID. There's been a collapse in their healthcare system. It's been recorded about 350,000 cases around the world, 2.9 million cases globally. Remember that the CDC has reported that the number of deaths in 2020 is the same as 2019. Just want to throw that in there. So the fear mongering by the media, I'll just throw that out there. Other than that, as tension rise in Ukraine, Russia's doing a huge military buildup on the border of Ukraine. This can actually spiral quite a bit. So Putin's Russia is actually calling Biden's bluff, and it's not going very well for the United States. And in addition to that, we're having a lot of real dramatic and changes in climate. After they had the recorded warmth in Europe, now they're having recorded cold, which actually wiped out a lot of the March spring vegetation. In France are having quite a bit of problems with the grapes for the wines. They destroyed about 90% above average. which is not a good thing. In Egypt, they just discovered a new city, a pharaonic city in the south province of Luxor, which is about 3,000 years old. They reported that in the news. Bernie Madoff, if you guys remember, the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time, $65 billion, has died at 82 years old. And in other news in regards to climate and the weird things in the climate going on, Gulf-size hail in Texas, you had tornadoes in central Florida and the Panhandle, and in addition to that, you had 52 volcanoes erupting in the past month in March. St. Vincent was one of the ones in the news, if you guys remember. It turned into a humanitarian crisis, especially since cruise ships are only allowing vaccinated people on board. So that's coming too. Wanted to throw that in there. That's the news for this week, guys. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave all your questions with the hashtag AskMarcello, and we'll see you next week.